of you who've logged in today for joining us for today's webinar, Dragon Medical, Advanced Features that Many Folks Fail to Use. My name is Ray Kuhl. I'm PBSI's president. So today our focus is going to be discussing Dragon Medical and in live demonstration mode, showing you how it works, how it can help productivity, and specifically focused on some key things that are strengths and helpful tools within Dragon that many folks fail to see, use, take advantage of. And in addition, some settings that if you use Dragon and you've missed some of these, learning the setting changes that can help you can be of great value to you. And we're going to talk about implementing Dragon. Why is it that some people use Dragon and succeed with it wildly and rave about it to their friends, and some people not so much? What's the fuss about? Well, how do you make sure that you're not one of the latter? And we'll talk about what is the cost of Dragon and what are the economics like. So we'll move on. Thank you for joining us. So who is PBSI and why are we involved in this presentation today? We are an authorized reseller of Dragon Medical. And in this region, we're by far the largest. We have hundreds and hundreds of clients who use Dragon Medical. Hundreds of those are clients of PBSI in other ways where we provide technical services or application software, but hundreds of our Dragon clients use other application software like Epic or Cerner or Allscripts or NextGen or Energy or some other software products. We help implement Dragon in any software, including if you have no EHR whatsoever. You may just want to turn your voice into text in Microsoft Word or Microsoft Outlook. We help in all those areas. So we've developed a lot of experience about helping clients and specifically physicians and other care providers with Dragon over a long number of years. So as a Nuance authorized partner, our focus is on-site training, phone support, web support, helping clients really use this product to improve clinical documentation and save time. Nuance is the manufacturer of Dragon, publicly traded company. They own Dictaphone. They are the single dominant market share leader in this category. In fact, Nuance products are used inside of Siri, Google, Ford vehicles. Nuance's software is very dominant in voice recognition, and Dragon Medical really nationally is virtually has a lock on the entire market because it's such an effective product. Hundreds of thousands of physicians use Dragon. So we're going to look at why is it that some of those physicians use Dragon and say this is fantastic, and others say, wait a minute, what's all the fuss about? I'm not being that successful. So I'm about to go into a live demonstration. I want you to note on the right side of my screen this power mic where my cursor's hovering. This power mic is the microphone that I'll be holding while I'm using Dragon, and the on-off button, if you will, in the center of the microphone. This is where I'll tell Dragon to start listening to me or not listening to me. Dragon can be used with lots of different microphones, including an iPhone, an Android. You can use Bluetooth microphones, but 90-some% of our clients use this power mic as their microphone because it's an excellent microphone. It has noise deadening. You can use it in a fairly noisy environment successfully, but there are also some buttons where you can hold it in your left hand while doing something with your right hand and not have to remember a lot of voice commands. So it's a very, very convenient microphone for practical work. So with that understanding, I'm going to go over and do some dictation. Now, I'm going to dictate today inside of PBSI's EHR, but it really doesn't matter where I'm dictating. I could be dictating inside of anybody's EHR. I could be dictating in Microsoft Word. The only thing that's important is that where that cursor sits, when I start dictating, this is where text will start to appear. So how do I know whether Dragon is listening to me? By the way, if your screen is small, you'll really want to maximize the GoToMeeting with the box in the upper right-hand corner of the GoToMeeting window, where this text will be very, very small for you. So this little red box on the very lower right-hand side of my screen, that is Dragon. It's actually a picture of a microphone in red turned on its side. That's Dragon not listening to me. So I'm going to come up with my cursor into the text area, and I'm holding the microphone in my left hand. And so as I press the microphone button, Dragon microphone will turn green. It'll start listening, and here's how it works. Patient is a 57-year-old male who presents for back pain, period, new paragraph. Normal ROS. Select eyes denied. eyes, colon, redhead, bloodshot, period. Go to bottom. New paragraph. Patient's BP is 210/180, and I'm really concerned about medication dosage, period. We need to schedule a cardiology consult for this patient, period. Okay, so what have I just done? I have spoken some text. I have spoken the name of a template. So a template or a shortcut is any set of text that's stored together underneath a name. So the use of templates is the first and really most important feature in Dragon. If you're not using templates and you're having to speak every word that you're turning into text, then you've missed a big, big part of the picture. Then I used the select command to select some text that I wanted to change, and once the select command highlighted that text, whatever I spoke replaced that text, just like it happens in any Windows program. And then I said new paragraph and spoke some more text. You'll notice that Dragon turns clinical information into properly punctuated and abbreviated text. There isn't anything clinically you could say to it that it won't recognize. It knows what your specialty is. It knows all kinds of medical terminology. So, and the size of the text on the screen is entirely related to the window in which I'm using. So the text size in Dragon can be any size whatsoever. So I'm going to go back and forth now and talk about some features between PowerPoint and live demonstration. We just looked at the use of a template where I stored a template or a shortcut or a name. I said normal ROS, it needed that to be a template name, and it displayed it on the screen. Then I used my select command. Something about the select command, for those of you who are Dragon users, this can be, we see, a frustration point. So some simple things to use the select command effectively is select a phrase, not a word, and decide what to select before using the command. So going back to using this, let's say I wanted to select high blood pressure. Well, if I wanted to, and my cursor's down here at the bottom, if I just wanted to select the word blood, it's possible that it might find blood in bloodshot, it might find blood. So I want to select a phrase to give it a better chance, or it might find blood vessels. So I'm going to say, select high blood pressure. Okay, I turned my microphone off, even took that fumbling, bumbling, and found it pretty well. So now I can either correct it, choose something else, or I can say blood pressure, which is really unusual, period. So regardless of how ridiculous that is clinically, you see what it did is I used the select command to find text. And the key is I knew what I wanted to select. I decided to select a phrase, and I set it in a group like select high blood pressure. See, I still can't say the words. So if you practice not pausing too long, if you say select blood pressure, it's not going to consider that the use of the select command. So the timing of that is important, and just a little bit of practice, you can use that select command like a pro. Instead of a frustration, it'll work perfectly every time. Okay, make that a shortcut. This is a really, really useful thing. So I'm going to get rid of the text that I have in here so far. And let's say I wanted to speak some text. I'm going to do that right now. Patient has had decreased muscle strength on the left leg, period. However, I believe this is due to pain rather than having any motor blockade, period. Generally, based on the clinical data, decrease in motor function is much later than sensory loss, period. Okay, so you can see Dragon paused. It didn't know if I was giving it a template name. Once it catches up, it goes lickety-split. But so I've just spoken this text, and this might be a bad example. But let's say I want to turn this into a template, and I'm going to call this muscle strength template. So, and let's say I want to include a couple of variables in here. So I'm going to put a couple of brackets in place of that, and I'm going to put a bracket here. So now I have something that I've just spoken, and I want to turn this into a template to reuse. So the command that I'm going to use here is called make that a shortcut. So here's how it works. Make that a shortcut. So what it's done is it's taken my highlighted text and it's brought it into this template, and now it's waiting for a template name. So I'm going to call this leg strength template. Click Save. So when I just said click Save, it's another feature of Dragon. If there's a button or something to click on your screen, I could say click Add or click Encounter or click Create Doc, and it would do the same thing. It's fine. Or I could say click Patient Info or click Lock. It looks for something on your screen to click, and you can actually use Dragon to navigate. So, but what I just did is I created a template. and I called it muscle strength template. Today the patient was here and had a muscle strength template, and the exam proved normal, period. New paragraph. All I wanted to demonstrate there is the words muscle strength template used in a sentence are simply words. Dragon understands that's not a template, but now look at this. Muscle strength template. Scratch that. Oh, I have a problem. I don't remember my template name. So here's another feature that we're going to look at. Dragon sidebar. So you see, Dragon sidebar brings up all the names of the templates that I've saved to tell me what I can say. So did I call it muscle strength template, or did I not finish saving that? Well, okay, sorry about that. I'm not seeing it, but I can. The key here is that you can create a template and you can find what templates are out there. So let's say I want to use musculoskeletal template. Okay, thank you. I now remember that musculoskeletal template. So whatever the template was, it brings it up. Now, if I had a template with blanks to be filled in, I can use Dragon to do the fill in the blank work like this. SOAP template. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the next field button on my microphone, and I'll show you how this works. Patient was here for a pain evaluation. Pain appeared severe, period. Patient described pain as 9 out of a 10 scale. Patient appears to need physical therapy. We're going to schedule a therapy visit. Okay, so what I was doing as the cursor was moving from spot to spot is I was touching a next field button on my microphone. So let's come back and look at some of the features. One of the things that we want to be able to do is turn anything we've just spoken into a new template. So make that a shortcut, give it a name, and save it. Then once we call up a template, we can have variables that we can use our next field, and we can even have defaults like left, right, denied, positive, things like that, which the accept defaults command will fill in. By the way, there are only 10 or 15 commands you'll really ever learn to use with Dragon. It's not like, oh my gosh, he's using all these commands, I'll never get the handle on all this. We give you a very short card that's a cheat sheet with the very typical commands you'll use, and beyond that, very, very little will you ever have to remember. So remembering template names, we looked at how to use Dragon sidebar and call up template names. One other thing I won't demonstrate, but I'll mention, storing repetitive formatting. This is another thing within Dragon. Why do you want to have to say subjective, all caps, objective, all caps, which all caps will, all caps the word you just said, instead store, as I did in my template, subjective, objective, store these things. And I could have stored them as bolded, underlined. It depends on whether your software will accept. Microsoft Word would. Would your EHR remember the bold? Unsure, but certainly will remember the caps. So store repetitive formatting instead of having to manually say colon after the end of the word subjective. Okay, another feature. I'm betting that there are many Dragon Medical experienced users listening today who are unfamiliar with this because you would not know it's there unless you had a trainer or somebody who knows this feature show it to you. So I'm going to show you an internet search where I can say search website name for whatever I want. So I'm in the middle of my EHR, I'm documenting, I'm talking to the patient, and all of a sudden we want to have a conversation about encephalitis. I'm going to do this. I'm going to turn my microphone on, search WebMD for encephalitis. And there it went out and it found my default browser. So if yours is Chrome or yours is Internet Explorer or whatever your default browser is, it went to the website I asked it to go to, and it did a search for encephalitis in this case. You can use the same thing for search up-to-date for insomnia, search Google for restaurants near me. So it's not strictly a medical application, but it knows all medical terminology. So it allows you, while in exam room, to quickly get to research information. So that's the search command, and it doesn't affect your dictation. It simply moves out to your browser and finds what you've asked it to find. Okay, proper name spelling. Another key here is you want to eliminate frustration with Dragon, eliminate the things it doesn't know well. So there's this reputation that I hear about Dragon is, because you hear some physicians say this, they've heard this, or they, in old versions they experienced this, that after a month or 6 months or whatever, it got to be really good with them, but early on it had to do a lot of learning. Well, today Dragon is virtually 100% out of the box. We've seen it time after time. You don't see it doing well with my voice because I'm really good with Dragon, quote good. It's because it started working that way for me day one. And each new client, it starts working the same way. So it's not learning your voice more effectively. What it's learning are the things that you pronounce differently. And among them, the things it won't get well is it won't get referring doctors' names. It will get James Smith pretty well, but it won't get Ubera Patera. It's just not going to know how to spell certain things, proper names. So one thing that we can do, and we frequently do, is we take a text file output from your practice management or your EHR, and we load your referring docs and the facilities that you use into your dictionary and save you hours of frustration at having to teach it the spelling of proper names. So, and we can show you how to do that as well. Okay, another thing I'm going to mention, network voice profile. Frequently, as a physician, you dictate at more than one workstation. So when you install Dragon, it wants your voice profile. If it doesn't know where to find it, you create one. So creating a voice profile today is maybe 15 minutes worth of work. And so if you are using this on 6 different workstations, do you want to set up 6 different voice profiles? If you didn't know about this feature, that's what you do. Instead, we store your voice profile on a network. It's something that there's no prompt that asks you for this, but we know where to set this and how to set this such that then when you store your voice profile on one PC or tablet, you put it in the shared location and we connect to it from each other workstation where you're using Dragon. Dragon is licensed per speaker, not per workstation. You can run it on any number of workstations. Actually, you're limited to 4, but as a reseller, we can unlock that key and you can install it on any number with no additional fee. So what you want is to share the voice profile, and the way it works is really cool because when you log in, it looks on the network for your voice profile. If it's not there, it looks on your C drive, and each time you exit Dragon, it stores your voice profile on the network and on your C drive. So the ramification is you have a tablet that you use at your desk. You take that home and you want to dictate, but you're not connected to your network. It still has your voice profile there, and when you return to the office, it'll take the things that happened at home, update your voice profile. So it's a really, really effective thing, and anybody is just going nuts who is trying to use Dragon and keeping a separate voice profile in each place. Very easy to fix. Okay, one other thing I'm going to demonstrate here is dictation. We all want to speak perfectly, but rarely do we. So listen to what I'm going to say now. And the patient was here today for visit, period. Select for visit, for a visit. So I was stumbling, stuttering, mumbling, and I'm always amazed at how Dragon takes the extraneous noises it knows, the normal things that people say, and it learns to ignore them and produces really excellent text. Even if you mispronounce things, it's amazingly good. So that's something that in the last version of Dragon, the latest version, really, really got better. So it's much easier to use with less than perfection today. Okay, one more really important thing. We find this one of the most useful things, and that's a timing tip. So frequently we're busy, we're fast, I want to get going, and I'm going to start dictating now. If I start speaking a millisecond before I turn my microphone on, which I'll do, and I'll start speaking and then I turn the microphone on somewhere into it, and you see what it does, it didn't get me at the beginning. Well, that's because when I said, and I start, I said those things before the microphone was on, and I'm thinking, well, doggone Dragon, it's not working. But in fact, if I just practice this one little silly thing where I press that microphone button and turn it on, and then I start speaking. It doesn't have to be a long pause, just a split second, but learn to do that, and you've learned something really important in terms of getting quality dictation time after time. Okay, so that's a list of some of the things. Hopefully everybody who uses Dragon has learned something from this. So I'm going to quickly review some of the key things that we've learned in terms of settings. So this power mic out of the box, this on-off button actually defaults to press to talk, meaning you have to hold the button down as you speak and then let the button up for it to stop listening. Well, to me, I don't want my left thumb getting all tense and stressed as I continue to hold it down as I'm dictating, so I would rather turn that into press it once to turn it on, press it once to turn it off. It's a setting. Easy to do. Takes somebody who knows how to do it 20 seconds. But there are people using Dragon who've been using it for 5 years and never know that you can change that setting. In the same way, you can program other buttons. So I mentioned a next field and a previous field. Dragon comes with a setting like tab key. You can tab or back tab, but it doesn't come with a next field button set. So we always set next field, previous field. There are really only maybe 4 buttons on this microphone that we use regularly, but on, off, next field, previous field, and we set those. So they're really key things that if you don't know they're there, you'll never use them. Okay, remote Dragon use, another key area. Many of us today are using web-based EHRs, and you can have some performance issues depending on the particular EHR and the setup, and it'll either feel like it doesn't work at all, or it works really slowly, or it works unreliably, and what's Dragon doing? Well, understanding how the communication works and what you do to fix it is part of the expertise we've developed over the years. We can make Dragon work with any technical environment. It might or might not involve using the dictation box, which I won't go into, but it's a setting where you can use Dragon locally even if your server is a million miles away, and it'll always work quickly and all the features will work, and you simply then press a button to transfer the text where it's going. It's a way to solve any and all remote setup issues, but frequently we don't even need to resort to the use of the dictation box. It's just a matter of understanding what setup choices should be made when using with Citrix or Terminal Server. And if those terms don't mean anything to you, to your IT people, they probably do. I hope they do. Okay, so then open dictation box and transfer text. If you're using this dictation box, there are buttons and there are features to learn, and these would be especially useful if you're using a cloud-based EHR. So I won't go into the detail there, but those are key things that will really help you if you find your Dragon is working really slowly. Another thing, although I'm touting the iPhone, and it really is, I would use the, I'm touting the power mic as the microphone of choice, absolutely is. But you can use your iPhone, your Android, various other devices, Bluetooth microphones. There are all kinds of choices that really work quite effectively as a microphone. It's just the convenience of the buttons and some other features that might not work as well. But we find very few people actually, in fact, do use their iPhone as a microphone because they don't know how to set it up. It's really not difficult, but I had to, for example, I'm the president of PBSI, we're a technology company. I had to get one of our technicians to set up my iPhone. I thought, well, I should know how to do this, but I really didn't because it's not connected by Bluetooth, it's connected by wireless. You have to have it on the same wireless network. You know how to do it, it's easy, you can use these features, but little knowledge is worth a whole lot. And then one other small thing, the click command. So you've heard me say click mute all, or click OK, click cancel, click apply. I could say any of those things with Dragon and it would find the button. If you don't have this set correctly, the click command can cause havoc. You need to set it to require the use of the click command because otherwise I might stop and say OK, and it would try and click this button and send me off into Timbuktu. And so setting your commands to require click, it's a simple thing to do, but you need to do it. And you'll avoid, what did it just do? Why did it leave my EHR and go to Internet Explorer? Okay, so some simple things. I hope some of these are of value. All right, I'm going to move on, and we're about to wrap up, just a couple more minutes, but I want to talk about training. How do you make sure that if you're not using Dragon effectively, that you get to a high level of use, or if you haven't purchased Dragon, you don't want to fall into the category of somebody who says, yeah, I've got it, but you know, it's not all that great for me. So some of the problems we see, it's still in the box. We bought it, or we tried it, we trained our voice, and it seemed, okay, I don't know what's going on after an hour, and we never went back to it. why is this any better than my iPhone? It's comments like that. What we find really makes a difference is one-on-one on-site training. An experienced Dragon trainer who knows the software inside and out, who sits with a physician or nurse practitioner or whoever's learning Dragon and goes through this process where we get a business associate agreement in place, we're working with you with live dictation, we help you set up some templates, you see how to make that a shortcut. We include one of your staff people, at least one of your staff people in the meeting, so that it's not just you, the speaker, and the PBSI trainer, because then a week later the PBSI trainer isn't there, you have a question, you're thinking, oh, I know there was a way to do this, and there's no one in your office to ask. I don't know, doctor, I wasn't there with PBSI. So include a support person. It really helps you because then you can ask, they call PBSI while you're with the next patient. Just silly little things, helping with human nature. Then a big thing we've found, 2 sessions per speaker really make a difference. Why is that true? Human nature. It used to happen all the time. We'd sell a copy of Dragon, on-site training session, trainer would come back, how did the training go? It went great, it was perfect, doctor was really good, got their voice perfectly, we did some live dictation. 2 weeks later, we call the practice, how's the doctor doing? Well, yeah, they've been actually haven't been using it. They're frustrated with, what are they frustrated with? Well, I really don't know. Well, okay, so there are various things that got in the way, but what we find is human nature and accountability are the keys. So when the trainer's there the first time, we set the next training session for 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, and we get agreement, okay, doctor, you are going to use this, whatever you're comfortable, at least 3 patients a day, at least a half hour a day, and that alone is worth a lot because now you're really getting yourself, you're forcing yourself to change your procedure and you're starting to realize, okay, this is helping me, but at the end of those 2 weeks, you will be prepared to sit with the trainer and really learn some things at that point. So the second session, really, really helpful. There's a big difference between training your voice, which anybody can do out of the box, 15 minutes, you don't need a trainer for that. But training how to use Dragon effectively, some of these tips and techniques, and I speak from experience, I'm maybe similar to you, where when I first took Dragon out of the box, I thought, okay, this is interesting, but I don't know what to do with it. And so sitting with a trainer and them saying, here, do this, oh, okay, now I see what the fuss is all about. All right, so on-site training, that's what works. There's some setup things. One thing I'll mention in setup, this is really important. If you have Dragon and it's not working very quickly, it seems to be slow, well, you might have a slow computer, but particularly on a portable device, a laptop or a tablet PC, check your speed settings. There's a speed setting on every portable unit. You want to set, excuse me, not speed, power. You want to set your power, your battery power, to high performance. So it doesn't go off as frequently, doesn't save your batteries frequently, but it really makes a difference with Dragon. So some tips, hopefully some of those are helpful to you. So how much does Dragon cost? Without the power mic, it's $15.99. We always discount for webinar attendees $100, so $14.99. With the power mic, it's a $495 microphone that they bundle with Dragon for $300. So instead of $15, it's $18.99. We discount it by $100. So your cost for Dragon and the power mic, $17.99, and then a couple of on-site training sessions, some help in doing the setup of loading your referring doctors in. You're going to spend somewhere between $2,000 and $2,700 to install Dragon per speaker. Over the next 5 years, you'll buy an upgrade. You'll have spent $3,000 over 5 years. Divide by 60 months, your cost about $50 a month. That's a really reasonable, realistic way to look at the cost of Dragon. Way less expensive than any transcriptionist, and your note is done when it's done on the spot. You can save it. You don't have to re-review the note. Dragon's a fantastic product. So in follow-up, we're finished with content. I want to say everybody attending, you'll receive, and anyone in your practice will receive a $100 discount per copy of Dragon over the next 30 days. One of you will win a free one-on-one on-site training session for Dragon. And it's well worth it. Even if you use Dragon, we don't care if you bought it from us. This is something an attendee is going to win. So in follow-up, if you'd like to see a demonstration set like this, either in person in your office or one-on-one with your office staff or some other physicians in the practice by web, we'll do that at no cost. We provide quotations at no cost. It doesn't matter if you bought Dragon from us. We can train you to help with your existing Dragon. We're a resource that you can use. So get in touch with us. Tell us what you'd like, what questions you have, if you'd like a quote or demonstration. So obviously we provide some other technology services. We'd love to talk to you about some of those, but our goal today was to train and educate for those who are using or about to use Dragon, so you have a heads up on some key things you don't want to miss out on. So again, my name is Ray Cool. I want to thank you for your attendance. We value relationships with many of you who are already clients in other areas, many of you new to PBSI. Glad to have your participation today. So you're free to log off. This webinar is finished. However, I'm going to stay connected for as long as anyone has questions. So in your GoToMeeting box, there is a chat button. If you'd like to answer a chat question, you're welcome to send a question and I'll answer all that I can. So thank you for your attendance. Otherwise, we're finished.